week, I said I still don't see the Bucs winning this game. A lot of Eagles fans calling for Nick Sirianni's head last week, and I still didn't see it. And then you were on the same wavelength, but most Eagles fans were on that, let's just pump the brakes a little bit. The Bucs have a better shot to win this game. What did you think? I mean, I'm just kind of shocked at the performance that was on that field last night and just the missed tackling, the incompetence from the defense.
I'm not shocked even in the slightest. Every single problem that this team has had really throughout the course of the season, but that's especially been emphasized over the last 6-7 weeks, all was on overdrive last night. I mean, every single criticism that you could have levied on this team was 10 times worse last night. I mean, it was the worst possible game imaginable. And I think if there's any silver lining to this, I think it was just bad enough where it forces Howie's hand to clean house. And I think that's what you're going to see here. It's really hard to wrap my brain around this, man. I mean, to see a team collapse like this, I've never seen it really in my lifetime as a fan. A team that again was sitting at 10-1, coming through the gauntlet of a schedule. Now again, they didn't. I think most Eagles fans will agree. They got lucky in some of those early games. They were not a 10-1 team by any stretch. But at the end of the day, man, winning solves everything. You're 10-1. You're through the thick part of your schedule, and if you're looking ahead, again, you're looking at ending the year with Giants twice and Cardinals. You had to feel pretty good about where we were sitting. There were plenty of times to right the ship and at least try to build some semblance of a rhythm on both sides of the ball. And it just never happened. And I think, again, last night was just sort of the perfect encapsulation of the entire Eagles season. On the defensive side of the ball, again, coverage was a joke, tackling was a joke, and we just gave up 32 points to the Bucs, who barely scored 9 the week before against the Carolina Panthers. So the defense, the tackling was atrocious. And I think what's unfortunate is that they showed up at times. They got enough stops in the middle of the game to sort of keep the game within reach, give the offense a chance to fight back. And this offense just has no bite to it. I think no matter what, I think Brian Johnson's gone and Sean Desai's gone, Matt Patricia's gone. I think Sirianni has to go as well. For a couple of reasons here. One of the quotes that came out yesterday, and look, you knew the Eagles were doomed when you woke up yesterday because by 10 a.m., every single Philly media outlet had already put out their hit pieces, and the game hadn't even started yet. So it's they saw the writing on the wall too. But one of the quotes that came out yesterday was that there were times where the offense didn't know who was calling plays, if it was Sirianni or Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson is the O coordinator and he's the primary play caller, but Sirianni has admitted to sort of overruling him at a few specific times throughout this year. And I'm hoping we learn more just as the weeks go on here of really what happened within this locker room. But the entire offense is clearly frustrated with the overall offensive game plan. And I just don't know if the finger gets pointed more at Brian Johnson or Nick Sirianni, because really who's in charge here. But my God, what just an absolute disaster class. And I think what makes it really unfortunate is there's no real proper way to evaluate Jalen Hurts. I think, the eye test says, the regression is real. I mean, he's looked atrocious for the better half of this year. And, maybe you find out that, the knee was worse than he's been letting on. Maybe, if he gets some sort of microscopic surgery in a week or two, that'll be somewhat telling. But he looked awful. The decision-making is bad. But then when you see some of the breakdowns of these plays and what his options are out there, it's what is he supposed to do with that? So just from top to bottom, from scheme to the game plan to the overall execution, it just went as bad as humanly possible. And I think most importantly here, this team has lost the faith of the fan base. And I don't think you can regain that by bringing Sirianni back. I like Sirianni, and it's crazy that you could lose your job as an NFL head coach 1 year removed from being that close to winning a Super Bowl. But it's just when you put it all together, the way that we collapsed at the end of the year and the performance that we put out there last night, just emphasizing all of the issues that we have had over the last 2 months, I don't know how he survives this. I really don't.
No, I agree because listen, last week on this show, I was saying like I personally like see Nick still had the job. I'm watching this game and I'm like, I can't believe how wrong this guy was last week on the show. And it's just from a stint like Drew Lock really sent shockwaves down this franchise because after that week, it not just like we all know we have systemic problems and on both sides of the ball. It's an effort thing. You can't be that good playing this city. Have vets like BG, Fletch, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey all maybe playing their last 5. We know one's confirmed. Most of the guys are probably going to come back, but we just don't know. And have that bad of effort. And it starts at the top for me. Like, I understand there's horrible continuity with our offensive schemes. We don't know who's calling plays. Everyone's confused. Our planning versus the blitz, I mean, Twitter went ham on it, but it was disgusting. I was sitting there in my group chat, Lee sending voice notes like, yo, we're going to get 3rd and short. We're going to go empty. And Lee just check it down every single time. I just don't know how much I can point to the players. I'm looking to the top with Nick Sirianni. Like, there's at some point, I'm going to compare him to an all-time coach, and it's not really fair. But there was a point we were talking on this show about Matt Canada and the whole Mike Tomlin thing. He told Matt Canada to get off the top booth, come down the field, and things got a little better. You can see things improve. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not saying Nick Sirianni had to be Mike Tomlin, but the Sean Desai, Matt Patricia kind of seemed like a scapegoat Trojan horse kind of thing. Like, that really wasn't the problem. I think throughout the year, the offense was more of a problem than the defense, and we never really saw a real adjustment on that side of the ball. And I'm not really mad at Jalen Hurts personally. The one thing I was mad at him for was the safety. That was boneheaded. But when you get your run game taken away and you ask your quarterback to be an absolute superstar, don't have many sight adjusts for him. There's no really good quick game for him. He's going to try to be Superman. That's exactly what he tried to do on that play. And I still think throws-wise, he still looked good. Balls are getting fit in the nice spots to Devontae Smith. They're on time. I think schematically, it was just disgusting. It was probably the worst planned playoff game I've seen from the Philadelphia Eagles in my short life. But there's no way we let Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucs walk us. Not even Mike Evans, not even Chris Godwin, even though he scored. It was the middle of the field again with K-Dot and something that's been a problem for literally 18 straight weeks, and it's not addressed. Nicholas Morrow and Zach Cunningham are literally still running into my safeties in man coverage for 18 straight weeks. There's just been so many things for this team that have gone unaddressed, and I'm continually to point at the top to Nick Sirianni. And I'm not going to be the one to say he needs to get fired. I'm just like you, Kenny. I'm just shocked. I'll be shocked week 1 next year if he's my coach. I'm not going to say I'll be mad. I'll just be shocked.
Well, I mean, Kenny, I think you hit most of my points on the nail with the recap. And all I would say is that this complete and utter collapse from the Philadelphia Eagles needs to be studied. And I'll tell you what, boy, oh boy, what Jeffrey Lurie has right now is an absolute disaster. Because you found a way to have the highest of highs and then the lowest of absolute lows in one singular season. And let's recap it. You come off last year's Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs, and you're coming into this year. Let's run it back. Let's make a deep run. I understand we lost our coordinators, but we got the same personnel. Let's put our heads together
and go back. This team was one or two plays away. A scramble and a holding call.
And a holding call. And let's find a way to go back. Put our heads together. Let's go back. You start off the year 10-1. I know you lost to that one ugly game against the Jets, but you go 10-1. And then you hit the gauntlet. And you beat the Bills.
Yep.
And you beat the Chiefs in the rematch. And you beat the Dolphins. And then you beat the Cowboys. And then you get the 49ers who come back to your own building that you beat in the NFC Championship last year, and you get routed. And then you go to Jerry's World and you get routed. And you lose to the Cardinals in an ugly one. You lose to the Giants in an ugly one.
Don't forget Drew Lock.
Don't forget Drew Lock. Don't forget Drew Lock. And then you get Tampa Bay. And you finish the year losing to Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield and going 1-6 and get bounced in the first round. You not only lost home field, you lost the division to your rivals, and you missed out on a singular home playoff game that these fans desperately thought they had, and lost. And now you lose Jason Kelsey retiring, and that's his exit. And I mean, if you don't study it, that's fine. All I would like to know, what the fuck happened in that locker room? Because that story alone will tell us everything.
Yeah, I think people were blowing that Dallas Goedert and Jalen Hurts thing out of proportion. I don't think that's that big of a deal for real.
I'll say this, man. The next target that Goddard got was a hospital ball that Goddard almost blew his knee out.
That was disgusting too. We gotta first. Can we stop doing that, please, man? I understand the whole CTE thing and concussions is a huge deal. I've went through a ton of concussions myself. There's thigh pads right here, homie. Like, you can flip someone on a thigh pad. I play DB, I did it a lot myself. Like, the midsection don't hurt that bad. You don't gotta go for somebody's knee,
Dude,
man.
players have said it. Players have, like, they've literally said, like, dude, hit me in the head before you hit me in the knee. Like, it's nuts.
It sounds disgusting, but it's truth.
There were just a couple of particular plays last night. Like, the safety for sure. I mean, that's the
Bad football.
You can't take a safety there.
Throw the ball. Just throw the ball.
But dude, when you see the camera angle from the back of the end zone, like it's 4 guys running verts. There's nobody in the middle of the field. And what's crazy is I went back, I watched like most of the highlights this morning. We ran one slant the entire night. One quick over the middle blitz beater, and Devonta Smith took it for 30 yards and almost housed it. He got, they shoestrung tackled him. He almost housed that play. That is the only slant we ran the entire game. Like, hey, let's maybe try that a little more. And even just like the after the first 2 drives, you knew exactly what you were getting here, right? It's like this team intentionally gets to 3rd and short just for the ability to run 4 verts. Like, opening drive, third and 2, it was 4 verts. There was that play where Goddard and Devonta Smith were essentially like right next to each other, and then the exact same thing happened on the following drive. And look, it's not going to be pretty. I don't think we should be like tush pushing down the entire field, but like, hey, other than the 2-point conversion last night, I mean, it's worked like 99% of the times. You got 3rd and 2 on the opening drive, dude. Run it twice. Like, run it twice. If you run it twice and you don't get it, like, no one is going to bat an eye. And again, it gives your chance to keep the offense in the field, get a first down, get a little bit of momentum going here. But like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's like the one thing that we were able to do this year, we couldn't even do that last night. So it's mind numbing, man. There's zero to be excited about really with this team. Jason Kelce going out the way he did is depressing. I'm hoping maybe he pulls like a Brady in a couple of months and goes, you know what? He's getting a little bored doing one more time, run it back one last time. But I don't think it happens if Sirianni comes back. And I'll say this, we can close out of the Eagles, so I don't cry on this podcast. But like, if the available head coaches right now like weren't so stacked, I think Sirianni could potentially escape this. But like, this is the best class of potential new coaches that we've ever seen. Yeah. And I just think that's going to add the last bit of fuel needed to I think pull the trigger here. So like, I think in a perfect world, like I would love to bring in Vrabel. To be honest, I think I would love Tomlin too. Like, I want give me just a tough ass head coach, and please, for the love of God, give me an offensive coordinator with a brain. But
bro, you started talking about it because this is actually what pissed me off. I can't believe I actually forgot about this. The first 2 plays of the game, the Red Sea was parting for DeAndre Swift. Todd Bowles made literally one adjustment. He said, okay, when DeAndre Swift's in the backfield with Jalen Hurts, we're going to load the box and send a 0 blitz. All we had to do was just look. I mean, we have none of this year. Just look back to the remnants of Shane Steichen. Okay, you want to go man across the board, 0 blitz? We'll just RPO you to death until you get out of it and send someone across the middle. It's such an easy, literally from the first plays of the game, we could have won the game if my OC had a brain. Oh my God, Red Sea parted. Now they're going to 0 blitz. We literally have RPO to Smitty all day and they just don't see it. That was actually the most disgusting thing, especially with no AJ. My QB's finger just was doing the jerk last week, and we just like get to 3rd and short to go to empty. Like, it makes 0 sense to me.
Last night, actually, the more I think about this, was there a single designed QB keeper?
No.
I don't think there was one. The play that we have fallen in love with, and we run it all the wrong times. We don't run it a single time last night as the middle of the field is wide open. And again, like, I thought our O-line did okay. They definitely they weren't perfect last night, but I think every time that Jalen got in trouble, it was an immediate scramble to left or right. Like, there was multiple plays last night where he could have just tucked it and went straight up the gut from like 30 yards, and he just wasn't doing it. So again, I think Jalen Hurts is not blameless here by any stretch, but again, I think it's impossible to like give him a fair evaluation when like he's working with what he has out there, and what he has is like a 6-year-old calling plays in Madden. Like, it's just at the end of the day, it's just not going to work. So it was as ugly as it possibly could have been, and this team is going to look a whole lot different next year.
With just a 1-6 to end the year is incredible. Before the bye, I mean, it was like this team's on top of the world, and after the bye, the collapse is unreal. I'm still just blown away at how a team with this caliber, with this roster, can find a way to do that against teams that weren't necessarily teams that should be in games against them down the latter half of these games, talking about the Seahawks, talking about the Cardinals, talking about the Giants. It's shocking. And I don't really know any other way to put that. And I think a lot of Eagles fans are going to be in agreement with you of Sirianni going.
2023 was crazy, bro. The Sixers did us crazy. Game 6, Game 7. Phillies did us crazy. These motherfuckers.
And that's why I just
need to turn the
love
page,
Philly.
man.
I love Philly fans because everyone's just going to be like, let's go hop on the Philadelphia Flyers bandwagon
we know who
when they
began.
were projected 5th to last this year and nobody gave a flying fuck about them. And now that all these teams collapsed on them, they're saying, let's go to the next one. I love Philly fans, man. I want it.